Hello there everyone. I'm making this video to show you the different types of discontinuities that piecewise graphs can have, and how you can use Desmos to create some of these discontinuities. Now there's going to be three types that we're going to talk about. The first is called a jump, where x endpoints actually share x values but have different y values, as you can see, where these two inequalities meet. Now, the endpoints here have to make sure that they don't violate functionality, otherwise this isn't a piecewise function at all. So it has to pass the vertical line test, meaning you can have 2 points here so long as they're not both solid. You can have one solid and one open like this, or you can have them both open. Now, the next kind of discontinuity we're going to talk about are called gaps. These are similar to jumps. In this situation, endpoints will share y values, but they'll have different x values. So they're horizontally oriented, the endpoints of these two platforms here, but they don't meet. They don't actually meet up. There's a gap between them. And finally, the last type we'll talk about are when you have both a jump and a gap simultaneously happening. So we're going to look at a few examples of this right now. To start off with, let's create a jump discontinuity between two platforms. To create these two lines, we can create lines or we can create inequality platforms, as I like to call them. And that's what I'm going to do here. So to do that, I'm going to need to use inequalities. But let's first start and take a look at what we have to do. Here we have to graph two lines with a 5-unit jump. Here at x equals 2, you can see the dashed line letting us know exactly where we need to have them. The endpoints where these two lines are going to meet have to be 5 units apart, but still on the same line. So to do that, we can pick any 2 points we want, just so long as the x value is equal to 2. And so that these 2 points are 5 units apart. So for example, I can pick something like 2 and 0 and 2, 5. Notice how they are 5 units apart and they're both on this line. So these are going to both be parts of two different lines that I'm going to make. Now they didn't necessarily have to be here. I can, for example, make this one 2, 2, and this one can be 2 and 7. And notice how they're still 5 units apart. You can really make them anywhere you'd like, just so long as it follows this rule. So now let's create, I'm going to create a couple more points so I can make 2 lines here. One on the left side, one on the right side. I'll start with this point down here, which I'll label here, 2, 2. I'm going to just create another point to the left of this one. So I'll say, for example, -5 and 3. Now I need to create a line between these 2 points. I'm going to use point slope form. So I'll start off with y equals. I need to know the slope between these 2 points. I can either use the slope formula, or I can just use the simple idea of rise over run. Here we can tell that it's going to be decreasing as you go from left to right, so I know it's going to be a negative slope. The rise, it falls by 1, and the run from -5 to +2 is 7. So the slope is going to be -1/7. Now I need to choose one of the 2 points to use as my x1 and y1. It doesn't matter which one I use between these 2 points, so I'll just go with 2, 2 since they're both the same, and it makes my life a little easier. So I'll just type in x minus 2, always the opposite of the x value, and then on the outside, +2. So now I have the line going through both points. I'll restrict them to go from -5, less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 2. Now, if I want to make this a platform, instead of making it an equal sign here where y is equal to, I can say that y is less than. Less than or equal to will give me a solid line, and a simple less than will give me a dashed line. I'll use the equal sign because I just like the way it looks. So now I need to create another one of these where it meets this point up here. So I'll take off these labels for now. And I'll create another point on the right side of this one. So I'll go with 6, and 11. So now I'll quickly graph a line between these 2 points. All right, so after creating this platform, we are just about finished. However, there's still one problem we have here, and that's the fact that this is not a function because it's not passing the vertical line test. Here I have two values at x equals 2 that are existing together, and they can't if this is going to be a function. So that means I have to turn one of these into an open point. And now I can choose whichever one. I'll go with 2, 7. Now, to do this, I need to change one of the inequalities on this line, the one that goes here with the x value 2. So instead of equals, I'll just leave it as less than here. And now you can see that it makes an undefined point. However, I want my actual coordinate here to match. So what I'll do is I'll click on this gear, and I'll be able to edit what the coordinates look like on this graph. I can click on this red point here and turn it into an open point. Now, I want everything to match up too, so I'm going to just go ahead and change all of the colors of my endpoints so that they match the line they're with. And now I've created a functional jump discontinuity here at x equals 2. Now let's create a gap discontinuity between two lines. So this is going to be kind of similar. This time we have to graph two lines with a 6-unit gap between them at y equals to 2. So here I'll keep things pretty simple, and I'm just going to make two horizontal lines, two horizontal platforms that have this 6-unit gap between them. So to start with, I'll just create 2 points that I need to be 6 units apart. So I'll make one at -5 and 2. That way it's on that line. And the other one I'll make it, well, if it has to be 6 units away, it's going to have to be at 1 and 2. These will be the two different the endpoints and the lines I'm going to make. So that means I'm going to need to create another point on the left side of this green one here. I'll just go to -9 and 2. And the equation to go between two horizontal lines is really simple. This one, I can write it at y equals, or in this case, less than or equal to 2. Now, of course, we need the domain restrictions, so I'll make this one go from -9, less than or equal to x, less than or equal to -5, the two x values there. Now, let's do the same thing for the other one. It doesn't really matter how long this one is. I'll make this one go to, let's say 10 and 2. Well, that's off the map now, so let's stick with 6 and 2. So again, it's going to be the same equation for this one as well. Y is going to be less than or equal to 2 since it's another horizontal line that I'm making. This time I want it to go from 1, 2 to 6, 2, so I'm going to restrict it from 1 to 6. 1 less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 6. In this particular situation, it doesn't really matter whether the endpoints are solid or they are open. It's really just left up to you, however you want to make it. Now here we have our distance of 6. Notice that they're both still on the line. These two endpoints are lined up with each other on this line, but they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units away from each other. In our final example, we're going to create two lines with a 4-unit jump and a 5-unit gap. We're going to make sure to put endpoints on them, so that's what I'm going to start off with. Let's start off by just creating one quick platform here. I'll create a line that goes from, let's say, -7 and 3 to, let's say, -1 and let's go -5. Let's make this one pretty large here. Well, okay, let's go with -3. All right, so I'll quickly create the line that goes between these 2 points. So now what I need to do next is position my next point so that way it has a 4-unit jump, meaning it's got to be 4 units above this last point here at -1 and -3. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4 up. And it also has to have a 5-unit gap. So that means I also have to go not only 4 up for the 4-unit jump, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units over to the right here. So my coordinate, so that it matches up with this, needs to be at 4 and 1. Okay, now for this one I'll keep it simple. I'll make a horizontal platform, so I'll just choose another point that's at the y value of 1. I'll make this one 7 and 1. And quickly create a line through those points too. So now we have everything that the problem required of us. Our distance between these 2 platforms now has a gap of 5 actually, and a jump of 4.